I got to start this timer now. You know, as a preacher, we tend to be long-winded, so I need to see exactly where I am. First, I want to just thank Kevin and Karen for an amazing opportunity. I've been there a couple of times, and what they're doing, to me, has the most impact. Where stories where we have more commonalities than we do have differences. And so it's really through the power of storytelling where we can really see that we are very much alike rather than being different. So as Karen stated earlier, my name is Reverend Cousin. I'm the pastor of Bethel AME Church. And believe it or not, I am a fourth generation preacher. My great-grandfather, I actually have his initials. He is Reverend Sylvester Alvin Cousin. So that's where my father named, really my grandfather named my father using his father's initials. My father is a pastor. My grandfather served as a bishop in the AME Church, which is the oldest black denomination in the country. I have 4 uncles that serve as pastors. And here I am. And people think that I just went into the family business. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to actually clarify really how I came into the ministry. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. It was a great day, 1983, June 9th, in case y'all will remember that for, a birthday coming up. And born to the parents of Stephen and Sybil. And I was always a PK. There wasn't a time where I was not at the church with my father. But when I was 6, 7 years old, my parents unfortunately got a divorce. And my mother moved me and my 2 brothers to a place called Bristol, Pennsylvania, and married my now stepfather of really close to 20 years now, Lorenzo Henderson. My family was still in Alabama. My grandfather and my grandmother were living in Florida. And I really thought I was cut off from that side of my father's family. Here I am in a new place. I was a Southern boy, and yet here I am in the North leading a new life. And my mother tried very hard to get us back in the church. And we went kicking and screaming. We did not want to go to nobody's church. And for me, I learned that the reason why I didn't want to be in the church because I was so used to my father being in the pulpit, preaching every Sunday. And I could not imagine another person serving in that capacity. So it was very hard for us to get up and to get dressed and to go to church. So we just stopped going altogether. And then I realized that my Uncle David and my Aunt Valerie lived in New York. And periodically they would come down and check up on us. I called them the bridge that really connected me to my father's side of the family. Where I thought that side was lost, here they are, able to reconnect me to my family. And so in the year 1992, my grandparents, they were assigned to that sunshine state of Florida, and now they were being reassigned to what we call the First Episcopal District, and now they are living in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. For those who do not know, Bristol, Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is only 20 minutes away from each other. And I thought that was pretty amazing, that here they are, now I get to see my grandparents whenever I want. But they always asked me, when are you going to go back inside the church? And I just kept saying it just wasn't for me. I would attend their conferences because my grandfather was bishop. I did not know him as bishop. I just saw him as granddad, and I saw my grandmother as grandmother. I never knew the capacity that they served, but I just like hanging out with them. Then, come to find out, my Uncle Joe, and we're only 10 years apart, he started pastoring a church that was in Norristown, Pennsylvania. And I started going to church with him because he's my uncle. And now I used to love hanging around him because he would tell me the behind the scenes things that goes on in the church. And that's what really kept me coming, because I wanted to hear the politics. Believe it or not, there's a lot that goes on that you may not see. It's much more than just Sunday morning. And so I really connected with him because I just wanted just to hang out with him. And church was just something that I felt we just had to do, so in order for me to actually spend some time with him. And so I actually received a track scholarship to the University of Connecticut. And I really never thought I would be able to go to a D1 school. But I figured because my mom and my dad instilled I have to go to college, so that's what I did. I really didn't care what college it was. The reason why I chose UConn is because of their colors. That was really, I love navy blue, and I love white, and I love gray. So I said, wow, that's the reason why I went to UConn. I had no idea what I wanted to major in. I called myself doing a pre-major in kinesiology. I really wanted to try sports medicine. Then I come to find out, in my first biology class, I had to dissect a fetal pig. That was the end of that. And so I really had no idea what I wanted to major in. So my sophomore year, I just picked political science. Don't ask me why I picked it. I just picked it. When I was speaking to my father, and he said, I majored in political science. He said, all of your uncles pretty much majored in political science. And I thought that was weird, because I'm like, how can a political science major end up becoming a pastor? But yet, here I am choosing that major. And I was okay. I really loved my major. Didn't know what I wanted to do after I graduated, but I just started taking classes because I thought maybe I wanted to try law school. So I ended up taking constitutional law classes. And it was there, my professor saw something in me and wanted me to apply for an internship. It was an honors program down on Capitol Hill in DC. And I told her, I said, listen, I don't know how that's going to work, because if you look at my grades, they're not honor standards, so I don't know how we're going to do this. But she pulled up my transcript. She saw my first year, and I shared this with Karen and Kevin. My first year, my first semester, I received a 1.3 GPA. Second semester, I received a 0.6 GPA. Didn't think I could get any lower, but I did. Ended up turning it around. I made Dean's List a couple of times, and when my professor saw the growth, she said, you know what, apply for this internship. So I did. Didn't think anything of it. Come to find out, I was accepted into the program. And I was going to spend my last semester in DC. And I told my friend at the time that I have a feeling they're going to offer me a full-time job. And the friend asked, how do you know? You never went down there. You don't know what it's like. How do you know they're going to offer you a full-time job? And I said, I don't know. I just have this feeling. So I went down to DC, and I ended up interning for Congressman John Larson, who's still in office to this day. I fell in love with DC and DC politics. I wanted to attend every congressional hearing. I wanted to actually know more about the budget. I was given tours of the Capitol, and I was actually sent to attend briefings on the latest legislative issues. Everything that kept coming across my desk regarding passing legislation, this was during the Bush era. They said, we have to get the faith-based communities involved. In order to get this legislation through, we have to get the support of the faith-based communities. And I'm thinking to myself, that's intriguing. They are really concerned what the faith-based communities are thinking and really trying to get their support. And I started thinking about the church. And I was asking myself the question, does the church realize how much power they have? Where they really have the power to shape policy and to really influence decisions. And it just kept coming across my mind. And then I started thinking about maybe I should go into the pastoral ministry. And guess what? After the internship program, they offered me a full-time job. They said I did such a wonderful job there. They wanted to keep me on as their staff assistant. They gave me a great package. They said that we will do college tuition reimbursement and great health medical benefits. I signed on the dotted line. I said, this is what I'm doing. I'm going into politics. I'll see y'all later. Graduated from the University of Connecticut, and my grandparents said, well, as your graduation present, how about you come out to us just to hang out before you go to DC? And I said, okay, fine, why not? So me and my brother, we went out to hang out with them, to talk with them. And of course, they were at a church event. And we turned the TV because they love watching the Word Network. That was their thing in their spare time. They always want to hear various preachers and pastors figure out what sermons they're going to preach. There was one particular sermon that stood out in my mind. And I'm looking, and I saw the people just shouting and just running around the room and falling out. And I said, but they're not saying anything. And my uncle and my grandfather said, believe it or not, it's this style of preaching that's taken over our churches. And it was that night where I decided I'm going to go into the pastoral ministry. Because I said, there is so much influence and so much power in the church, and we're losing it. And I really believe I could be the one, not necessarily change the culture, but at least let people know the true power of where the church lies. And it was that night, to really much my surprise, where I decided to go into the pastoral ministry. Didn't know how it was going to happen, but I wanted to do it. And that was when I turned 22 years old, and now here we are, close to 13 years later. I've been pastoring for the last 10 years, serving 6 years here at Bethel in New Haven, and that's the reason why I am who I am. Where to me, it wasn't about trying to grow my church numerically, have people running around and screaming and shouting, but I really wanted to be in it because I wanted to let people know we have so many issues that affect our communities. And if you do it right, the church has the power to really be the moral compass of this world. Instead of being so reactionary, the church has a moral obligation and a moral responsibility to be that compass for the world to see. And I wanted to just play my part where I figure I can add to that story. And that's how I continue the lineage of my family because I really wanted to be the change that the world needed. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.